All
We're
right.
on the air.
Then I won't say what I was going to say.
All right.
That's the right one.
Okay.
I could disappear into the background.
Make sure.
All
We're
right.
on the air.
Then I
Oh,
won't
crap.
say what I was going to say.
I got a window open somewhere.
That's the right one.
Okay.
Oh, I heard my beautiful voice. Oh shit, so do I. Damn it, hold on, muting.
It was one of us. Like, why do I hear me?
I ask myself that about you quite often.
It's because I'm always in your head, Brian.
That's right.
Yeah.
I didn't know the shirt I'm wearing. It says Mr. DNA. Was a Jurassic Park shirt. My sister. Wait, is it my mom or my sister? Well,
You're supposed to know the
woman,
difference between those.
Well, I mean, it's a gift. So once the box is handed to me, I sort of start losing details. Who handed me this? I don't know. Anyway, long story short, Jurassic Park T-shirt, Mr. DNA. Hopefully it doesn't have any other connotations. Where was I?
I don't know.
Oh, and Bitcoin it dipped down. It was at $39,000 Bitcoin earlier.
Yeah, basically, I read an article that said if you have Bitcoin, you're thinking of cashing out. Now is the time.
I'm staying.
Can I have
You're in
one?
for the ride?
I'm riding it to 400,000.
Can I have one of your Bitcoins?
No, I only have 3 Bitcoins. That's it.
That's a lot. That's a lot more than most
Now
people
it's
have.
a lot. Yeah, but I should have just spent that initial money on buying Bitcoin instead of setting up a laptop, buying the mining equipment. I mean, I made that Bitcoin the hard way.
Yeah. But
Good to...
3 Bitcoins is worth more than the hardware you paid for it.
Yeah, it's going to be worth more than his house shortly. I'm pretty stoked.
Yeah, you need to sell
Probably
that
not going
stuff.
to break 40,000.
Hey, Yo Eddie, thanks for the Christmas card, buddy.
Billy 7 in the chat.
Yeah, Billy 7, D. Norman, Metropolis, Brett Holman, Diving Buddy. Hey, man, good to see you. Glad to have you back on the show. I did get my tokens, Diving Buddy, so thank you for that. I'll be sending you some shortly. I actually didn't even open the envelope. It's just sitting on my desk.
Mine's in my Pac-Man. I mean, my Miss Pac-Man.
Oh, are you talking about the Doug McRae ones?
Oh, yeah, we're talking about something else.
Well, one of our previous guests, Johnny, sent me some tokens, some Flynn's arcade tokens.
Oh, that's
and
nice.
In exchange, I'm going to send him some Adams arcade tokens. But yeah, for those of you that were present during the in the chat and filled out your forms for the premiere episode of this season, you all should have started receiving these. Is that showing up?
It is.
All right. So in the back, it's got the maze on it. It's pretty dang sweet. Oh, yeah. Nice display case.
Thank you.
Mine hovers with the background picture.
Yours is completely gone. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm glad people are getting those. And Mike Page received a T-shirt that apparently he's the first 5th season T-shirt person to win one, and in Canada. And now I can drop ship to Canada, so we can have a T-shirt contest periodically and give away some T-shirts. Maybe we should do that tonight. I don't know.
Oh, man.
But yeah, so
what's dropship made? Tell me.
Go ahead, Brian.
So we're actually using this for the store now on some things. Basically, there's companies that have production set up to do custom printing. And you put a product on your site, say we have the War of the Worlds mug on our site. And so when you order it, that company prints it, packs it, ships it. So Paradise Arcade actually never sees the product.
Yep.
But you can order it through our website. And so drop shipping that's kind of the premise of it. They've done it for years for things where you could sell say a Sony PlayStation and you didn't actually... Actually, the best example of it is Amazon. You can buy from all these other sellers on Amazon, right? Mm-hmm. So Amazon essentially uses all these people to drop ship for them.
Well, and actually, some people store their product with Amazon distribution centers.
Yep.
So they drop ship for some of their vendors as well.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And then Brian Frober just said print on demand, and that is a version of drop shipping where the actual product is created. So like when we were joking about those arcade radio bikinis, I can actually, now that we have our new store set up, I can drop ship arcade radio bikinis.
Oh, yeah. Can you drop ship them that you've already worn? Is that not a thing? Or, wait, that goes against drop shipping. Sorry.
Yeah. I'm just getting over that.
So the funny thing is we actually put the Piranha shower curtain up on the website.
I know. I'm very tempted. I just don't actually have a shower. So.
Yeah, mine are all glass doors. So I don't think it'll work.
Makes a good Halloween costume.
Yeah, like in the Karate Kid, Daniel-san wears a shower curtain, if I remember correctly.
Speaking of Karate Kid, the third season of Cobra Kai came out.
So good.
I haven't watched a single episode yet.
Have you seen any of the other episodes?
I've watched both of the first 2 seasons.
Okay. And
you gotta see it.
Yeah.
So good, dude. Like certain things happen, you're like, oh.
Yeah. It's interesting to see what they're doing with the characters. My humble opinion, that show, every person on that show is a dick.
Yeah, you're kind of right.
None of them are nice people. None of them.
Yeah, it's like, now wait, who's the antagonist?
Exactly.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I feel like especially in season 3, they started to make them all real.
Well, maybe, but like I've been really getting tired of everyone being so flawed. It's just very, I don't know.
Flawed, and then these reactions where like,
yeah.
Well, if you would just take 5 seconds and let me explain.
Exactly. If they just took,
Everybody's just too
in
the moment. No, I can't. I'm leaving.
I'm going to tell you everything except for the most important part, so that we hate each other for the rest of the season.
Right. They started doing that in The Flash.
Yeah.
Like Barry Allen would get pissy.
Oh, God.
And it would resolve at the end of the episode. Like,
you know what? I'm starting to play a drinking game. When you watch any CW show, if you hear them say, look. I mean, they say it probably 20 times an episode. And another thing is, did you notice that there's no niceties when they talk to each other on the phone? Nobody ever says, see you later, talk to you later, bye, any of that. They just hang up.
Right.
They're not even done talking.
That's odd.
That's how we're going to end the show today.
I just do that. I'm just like, click.
Yep. Just like, okay.
Sometimes you're lucky you get the peace, because I'm like throwing the phone.
Peace. Right.
So I was chatting with Adam about something the other day. I'll bring up in the pre-show instead of in the actual show.
Oh, okay.
So I have this gorgeous Dragon Spirit cabinet. And it's really a pretty cabinet. And I also have Galaga 88. And like, did the artists quit ATARI in between those two cabinets?
That's a good question.
Because I mean, Galaga 88 basically has the same art on the side, the same art on the marquee, and no bezel. And Dragon Spirit is this incredibly elaborate, beautiful cabinet.
Well, the other day you were getting real upset about it too.
Well, it's like, I mean, they phoned it in. They're like, whatever, we're done.
Yeah.
We made a good one in 87, 88, F88.
Yeah.
We're done.
Well, maybe you can get some custom artwork done by Rich at TOG.
Yeah.
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 All right.
Why are you laughing?
I think it's time to get the show on the road.
Welcome to Xenon. Welcome to Xenon. Welcome to Xenon. Welcome to Xenon.
Live from KOYR Studios in Minneapolis, Minnesota, this is Arcade Radio.
Beware, I live. Run, run, run. I know that I survived.
Yeah, well, we'll see how we survive this week. Hello, and thanks for listening in from the Arcadosphere. This is Season 5, Episode 6, the Arcade Radio Podcast. That's, today is Thursday, January 7th. Happy birthday to my brother. And the time is now approximately 7:26 p.m. Central. I'm your host, Adam Cronkite. I'm joined by my co-host, Mark. I'm starting to sound like my old man Shields. And Paradise Arcade Shop proprietor and Nexus replicant, Brian Thurston Howell Armitage III. And joining us later tonight, an American musician, sound designer, composer, and record label executive. Her innovative electronic music and sound effects have indelibly linked our memories of the 70s, 80s, and its culture. A round of applause for Ms. Suzanne Ciani. I almost said Mrs. I don't think she's a Miss. Is that right? Oh, yeah. She'll be on the show.
Ms. as a
top of the hour.
Respect.
So, welcome to the show, everybody. Thanks for tuning in tonight. It's going to be a fun episode. I don't think we ever had a Grammy winner nominee on the show. Definitely haven't.
5-time Grammy nominee. Anemone? Isn't that like a saltwater fish?
I think so. Yeah.
Menominee's a town in Wisconsin.
Oh, anyway, if we're gonna have some fun with what's in the juke, we're gonna have to get through a few things here tonight.
I'm excited.
So it's gonna be another good one. What have you been working on? Is the first segment, of course, right? Yeah. I think I'll start tonight because I'm not working on a whole lot, but I did update my bit kit over the holiday break, and I put Galaga on it, and I'm having a blast. So, super, super fun. I did get my second bit kit. I'm going to throw that in my Miss Pack. And then sometime this month, I think Aaron's supposed to start doing updates on the older kits. So I need to get in contact with him. Another thing, at the end of the year, Richie Knuckles was having one of his auctions. And he was doing an auction for like a Miss Pac-Man panel. And I said, well, what about that Miss Pac-Man Coleco that you have sitting there? And so he put this up for auction and I bought it. And then I had to get a couple of replacement stickers, but it looks pretty good and it works really, really well. So I did all right. I don't know if you guys remember these things, but they're kind of cool.
Sounds pretty good.
Yeah. And then last week I found its companion. And this I got for $60 and it's in perfect condition. No corrosion and the battery cover's still there. And it works. I'm like, look at that. It freaking works. So
I've always wanted that. I have a Frogger and a Pac-Man, but not that one.
Yeah. The Miss Pac-Man one? Yeah.
Not that. Yeah, you.
Oh, you have the little yellow disc Pac-Man?
No, I mean, I have them the same. Yeah, I have that one. How'd you get it?
Well, that was actually a prop that they used in Magnum PI once, the yellow one. So there you go.
I have the old Defender. You remember that little?
Yeah. Yep. It's like a flat one.
4C batteries.
Yep. That's same with these big 4C batteries. Amazon batteries.
It's the old days.
Yep. Anyway, these things retailed for quite a bit of money back in the day. If you do the math, I think they're almost equal to what Replicade's been putting out, which their products are really nice. But these are charming. So yeah, what have you guys been doing?
Well, I've been doing a lot of artwork reproduction, working on my Asteroids boards, trying to learn how to fix them. Which there's some good days and some bad days. I've gotten like 1 or 2 boards going.
Yeah.
And aside from that, not much.
Well, we should mention that you are getting vaccinated as a surgeon.
Yeah. So I'm at my second vaccine dose yesterday. So I'm a little under the weather tonight. So if I start snoozing or whatever, there's like an electric shock collar. I think that Adam hits a button and I buzz or something.
But not you're not as under the weather as our regular listeners, the Relfords.
Yes.
Casey and Dolly are sick. Their whole family's sick actually, and quite sick. They've been having to monitor Casey's blood pressure, and it's been kind of freaky. So, It's real, man.
It is. I heard from Dolly tonight saying that she's doing better, or he's doing better.
Good.
His blood pressure and his blood sugars are getting better, and they're just hoping that it continues to resolve. So keep them in your thoughts and prayers, guys. They've had a really rough go of it. So been feeling for them.
Yeah.
What have you been playing with, Mark?
Well, let's see.
I like how you just, well.
So I got an upscaler in the mail. I bought it from eBay. It's like one of these old new in box type things. And it doesn't exactly do what I want. I have a 1600 by 1200 XUGA TFT display. Which
sounds
is
complicated.
Kind of it's a 4:3 display. It's 21, 22 inches. It's a little bit bigger than a 19-incher.
Oh.
And that's what she said.
Yes.
Where was I? And I've been trying to put it in my disk of Tron, except for now that this upscaler doesn't want to stretch to fill the space. So I'm going to do a little. Well, I have a media player, but I was also looking at perhaps using a Raspberry Pi.
Okay.
But so far, I've not quite. I mean, I really haven't spent more than half an hour on it. So, So, I mean, once I figure that out, that'll be kind of a nice project to have done. Speaking of projects.
Yeah.
I bought an ATARI Video Pinball from Coin Op Warehouse.
Nice.
Oh my gosh, I've wanted one of those for so long.
I know, and it looks pretty good. It's complete. It's got good,
That's
condition,
Steve Barbie's
everything.
old one, isn't it?
Is it? I don't know.
I bet it is.
That'd be weird.
I bet you have Grinker's old video pinball.
I'll have to check into that. I mean, there's certain things I can do to figure it out, but
it was
the ones that were on the floor, though, they all got sent to Utah.
Well,
I mean,
don't know.
It could be one of those ones in their secret Bitcoin mine.
That
Like
one
the
wasn't
Boot
on the
Hill,
floor last time I was there. I don't think they had video pinball there because it wasn't working.
Oh, I see.
Like the Boot Hill you're going to send me now that you have too many games because you bought the video pinball.
I'm working with Elon Musk to get my arcade opened, or at least start it, and then it'll be sponsored by Tesla. So we'll see how that goes. Where was I?
I don't know.
TikTok. You don't stop.
TikTok, but you don't stop. Hey, Tic Tac.
I've blown up on TikTok, as the kids say. I was saying I went viral, and my niece is like, "You don't go viral anymore, Uncle Mark. You blow up." Like, okay,
You're lit.
Yeah.
Neither of those sound very pleasant, though.
Being blown up. Yeah. Well, anyway, I had two now entries. One with the Kitty Rama, and then the second one with the Movie Hut. And I think the Kitty Rama has 120,000 views.
Wow.
And the Movie Hut has about 42 or 43,000. I have about 1,400 followers.
Great.
Pretty cool. And what's funny is you get a lot of things that a lot of features show up once you hit 1,000 followers. Like you can put a URL in, and you can start a live stream, and I guess you can. That's it. Really, that's all the two things that you get. But whatever.
Cool.
So my TikTok name is DeLorean Time Machine. If you want to go check it out. And last but not least, in the mail today, I received my Gal's Panic 2.
Gal's Panic. Oh my God.
Yep. Got that from Jay and John's Arcade. Yes, exactly. But not just one, but two gals are panicking this time. That's right. I don't know their names, but I think that they're over 18. Anyway, yeah.
Oh my God.
That's what I'm doing. I don't really think I have anything. Is there anything else on the floor? No, that's
What
it.
are the magic sources of these sounds? Well, the secret lies in a chip. The chip is a tiny computer program the size of a domino. It stores 48,000 bits of information. When commanded by an outside computer, these bits are spat out rapidly as sound.
I always felt that the true stars at Atari was engineering.
Oh, you're an inventor.
Yes, I am.
What have you invented?
A lot of things.
Like?
Like a lot of things. Like things that you've heard of.
Like?
Well, things that you will have heard of, okay? Patents are pending.
Arcade gadgets with Brian McLeod.
Welcome to the gadget segment. I was dying to talk about this and what I'm working on because it ties in. So I'm sitting there working on my asteroids boards and I'm going, I need to test these 2114 chips. Well, the Inquisitor is a great device, and it tests 2114 chips. And if you haven't seen that, I think it's Pinball Center EU or something has them, but it's got all these different blades. And then I've got these 6502s that I need to also test, and you can build your own testers for those. And I'm looking into all this stuff, and up comes this B&K 575A. And it does logic. I believe it does analog. It'll do... it's a 40-pin device, so you can also do CMOS, CPUs, memory. I mean, it's like everything. And it's got an RS-232 port, so you can plug it into your computer and test stuff it doesn't even test yet. And so I'm like, this is my dream.
Sweet.
So I go
Your
and I
dream
look for
is
this thing.
to
I'm like,
test
this can
stuff.
fix the entire asteroids board. I just need to pull every chip off. So I find one. So they're about $1,500, and they still sell them on DigiKey. And I found one. I immediately get on Search Tempest, type in 575A, hit search, and there's one in Chicago that this old electronics guy is selling. And he basically says to me, I will not ship it. I will take cash. So someone needs to pick it up, and they need to hand me cash. And he's used it once, and it's $500.
Wow.
And I'm like, done.
Good deal.
So I started calling everybody I knew in Illinois. So if you guys haven't seen this device, it is fascinating. It really does a wide variety. All the 7400, 74 chips, 54 chips, pretty much all of them, as well as a lot of the different memories, CMOS devices, CPUs. I mean, it's just a very diverse testing instrument. And so I'm trying to combine that with my FPGA cat box and really dig into these asteroids boards and try to get efficient, actually, like know what I'm doing first and then try to get efficient at fixing them. But yeah, so and Andy Baldwin saying the best thing is test the 2114s and 6502s, which I agree. So this will do it. I'm super excited about it.
Very cool.
So have you guys ever seen this thing? I'd never heard of it until I just stumbled on it.
I can't wait to see. Somebody drop shipping it to you? Sweet.
So Ted Hooper picked it up for me today.
Yeah.
And
Ted.
And it was funny because I called him. I was like, "You got it?" He's like, "Yep, I got it." I'm like, "When are you sending it?" He's like, "I'm not."
Oh.
He goes, "You're gonna have to come get it because I need this thing."
Wow.
Oh man.
Then there was some chuckling, and yeah, so I imagine I'll probably get it within the next week. But it's only about this big is what it looks like on the things, but it's pretty elaborate. So
it's cool.
But if you're interested, check it out on DigiKey. It's unbelievable how much stuff it does. So
awesome.
Congratulations on the grab.
That was my gadget for the day.
It's the Arcade News with Adam Stevens.
Ha! That's me. This one is from consequencesofsound.net. The official Led Zeppelin pinball machine has been announced.
Yes! Finally!
Yep, you get to hit that big, huge ring and it plays Stairway to Heaven.
Oh.
I don't know what it does.
20 minutes.
For 20 minutes. I actually...
That's the ball hold.
Right.
There was a conversation about this on one of the pinball groups on Facebook, and I'm of the opinion that I'm kind of over rock and roll pinball machines. The reason why is because if you play them too much, then those dumb songs get stuck in your head, and you have to really like the band in order to keep the pin, I think. But if you're a fan of Led Zeppelin, it is the latest band to be immortalized in pinball form. So last month, Stern Pinball announced a new line of machines based on the iconic band, which means they're going to have an LE, an SE, an LX, a DX, a Pro minus, a whatever, And then if you're a pinball wizard and a Zeppelin fan, Stern's machine might induce, a little bit of giddiness for you because it's not only decked out with the band's imagery, including encased replicas of the Swan Song Icarus mascot and the Hindenburg, but it also features audio from 10 tracks that will drive you mad after you play the pinball machine for about a week.
Metropolis chimed in and said, "There's no Stairway to Heaven." And
no way.
Yeah.
Well, how do you do that? It's so slow.
Maybe there'll be a ROM upgrade. Led Zeppelin, Doc Mac's favorite band.
Yeah. I don't know. Black Dog seems more appropriate for a pinball machine to me. I don't know.
I can see that.
Yeah. Anyway, Good Times, Bad Times, Whole Lot of Love, Song Remains the Same, Rock and Roll, Trampled Underfoot, Ramble On, Kashmir, Immigrant Song, Communication Breakdown, and Black Dog. So anyway, that's gonna be also via Business Insider. Nintendo is buying the North American studio behind Luigi's Mansion 3. It's a really rare move for the 132-year-old Japanese company. So they, this North American Canadian studio, Next Level Games, did Luigi Mansions 3, which is apparently very, very popular. I like the first one for the Cube. I don't know if you guys have played it. They also had an arcade version, which is also super fun. It's kind of like you hold the gun and like Ghostbusters and all that stuff. Excuse me. But anyhow, Nintendo purchased this company, and they plan to make them part of their regular development crew. So I don't know. It's a big purchase apparently. So
I think they're in Japan. These guys.
They're in Japan.
Yeah, I think. Oh, you know what? I'm thinking.
North America's not in Japan.
Of Retro Studios. They were purchased by Nintendo in 2002.
Sure. Yeah. No, this Next Level Games is a Canadian studio. So.
Oh, you're right. Okay.
It says right there in the article. But anyway.
Okay, I'm putting it around. What?
What?
I wonder if they drop ship.
Back in '82, I used to be able to throw a pigskin a quarter mile.
Back to the cave with Time Runner.
Why are things so heavy in the future? Is there a problem with the Earth's gravitational pull?
Hey, kids! And keeping in line with our talking about game shows and gaming events, we're going to talk about what happened long before Walter Day established his Twin Galaxies scoreboard. Way before esports were created, there were video game competitions taking place all over North America. That must include Canada, with the first tournament stage in NYC in 1980 by ATARI. This one, the first National Space Invaders competition, it was popular, had 10,000 people participating, regional events everywhere, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Fort Worth, why is that on the list? Chicago, we hate the other Texas cities, by the way. Have I not mentioned that? If you're in one Texas city, you think all the other Texas cities suck. Where was I? The tournament had widespread print and television coverage, so everybody was like, oh man, let's do that. Fast forward 1 year later. And then so Atari's like, well, hey, let's get these guys tournament games.
Okay.
Who actually did foosball tournaments. That was like their thing. For years to the 70s, they cleaned up in foosball tournaments and had, at least 10,000 people show up. They're like, hey, let's establish the Atari 50,000 World Championship to be held in Chicago at the end of 81. I think that was somewhere when I was in 6th grade, so I did not get to do it. But to say it ended up being a total disaster is a understatement. It was promoted the same way as a major sporting contest, and only 138 players participated.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the people were like, I am not paying to fly there, to have my pay for my hotel, to pay for the car to get there.
Yep.
They actually had to pay the quarters to put into the machine into the tournament.
Oh
so if you ran out of quarters, you were screwed. Right? That was just,
yeah.
That was just it. Anyway, so that was a huge total disaster. Even the people who won got checks that bounced.
Yep.
So that was canceled. They did not do it again.
That's freaking cat.
That's right. That's the end of our journey back in time, where we let you learn about something that happened that's arcade related and whatever.
Yeah,
okay, hey, what's in the juke?
What's in the juke?
Hey, everybody, welcome to the Season 5 edition of What's in the Juke.
Yeah.
It's the game within a game, within a game, within a game, within a podcast. Today, we'll be playing theme songs from random 1980s television commercials. Wink, wink. Guess the name of the product, and you will receive
half point.
Whoa, I almost missed it.
I almost have a wine situation happening. Okay. If you recognize the celebrity spokesman, oh, by the way, there's no celebrity spokesman, so forget that. But if there had been, it would have been worth a half point.
Half point.
If you make up a good one.
That's right. If you guess the product name and the celebrity spokesman when nobody, you'll get a full point.
The guy that's running the board tonight is kind of a jerk.
Jeez. Hey, if you don't know either, please fight it out amongst yourselves. That is a lot of fighting. Don't fight that much, guys. Let's all love each other. All right, now that the fighting's over, let us do it. I was talking over. There it is.
Sometimes it's just too much fun.
Mr. Peabody's already in with Vagisil.
Oh my gosh.
Did they make a commercial for that?
I'm sure they did. I'm sure they did. Last week I almost fell over. So funny. All right, I don't know what's coming because I didn't prepare these, so this will be fun. Here comes your first track. Okay. And if we don't get, we'll play the original too. But here you go.
Hey! All right. Somebody's shooting at me. Woo! I don't know. Woo! Your mama? Then your mama? Your mama? Your mama? Then your mama? Then your mama? Woo, don't cry.
Laser guns. I am the Gleek gets it.
He gets it. I am the Gleek. That was an Atari commercial. I think it was the Atari 5200.
I think the Gleek sent me a Christmas card.
That is sweet. Hey, you know, the Arcane Hangouts, I think they hit 250 episodes and they're hanging it up.
Really?
Yeah, or they're gonna refactor themselves or something. I don't know.
Yeah, interesting.
It's fun. Yeah. So if we could just do another, 190 shows real fast or whatever. 140, I think.
We'll see how we do here.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. Well, we're probably have 24 episodes this season, so. All right, cool. Yeah, so that was Atari. Here comes your next track.
Introducing the Cutter.
I don't know.
Most powerful string trimmer yet. The Cutter powers through grass.
Power.
Powers through weeds.
Power.
And with the Cutter's command feed, just the touch of a button keeps the string at its most powerful cutting length. The Cutter, with command feed from...
I don't know.
It can cut the time of trimming your yard.
That sounds good to me. I hate that.
How'd Bob get in here again? I kind of missed the something.
I am the Gleek who gets Atari again. It is not Toro. It is not. Nope. You don't see it yet. Ginsu. That's
Gillette. No. In television. No.
Introducing the Cutter, Black & Decker's most powerful string trimmer yet.
Oh.
The Cutter.
Well, somebody will get it. Prozac.
Or just
Prozac.
Yeah.
Trimming your bush. Oh, no.
Oh my gosh. No, you guys be good. Be good to each other.
Yes. Classy.
It is Black & Decker. Joe Drosen gets a half point.
Half point.
All right. So who got was it the Gleek?
Half point.
You got the other one, right?
All right, cool. Yeah, I just want to make sure I'm handing out points where they belong to be.
Half point.
So, all right, cool.
I think Brian Frober should get a half point for creativity on that one.
All right.
Done.
Here comes another one.
Somebody
introduces the beautiful new wave, the conditioning wave. It actually conditions as it works.
Nice.
New kindness in 2 formulas.
Oh.
The conditioning body wave for beautiful body. The conditioning curly wave for curlier waves. Both condition as they work for lots of healthy feeling curls or big beautiful body.
Oh, yeah.
Try the beautiful new wave. The conditioning wave. New kindness from
somebody.
It is shampoo. It's not L'Oreal.
Suave, pert.
They're like
Head
typing
and
every
shoulders.
shampoo that
Exactly.
exists. Prel. I can't believe it's not shampoo. Wait, no.
Not Head and Shoulders. Come on, you guys. There's only like 3 more brands you have to get from the 80s.
Now they're arguing. I already said that.
Clairol introduces the beautiful new wave.
Okay, that's all. That's the only hint we're giving you.
All right. So, Mark, you got to tell people where these are coming from because there's a theme here.
Bob Zarzadek has Bob-matized these. Oh, but where are they coming from?
Yeah.
All of these commercials feature music from our guest tonight, Suzanne Ciani.
Or sound effects, one of the 2. So.
Yeah. I mean,
yep, it is
there's a lot
Clairol.
of music.
And who got Clairol first? Was that Mr. Peabody?
Peabody.
All right.
Mr. Peabody.
Half point.
Okay.
On the board.
Here comes your next one.
Slam tell it again. Oh, okay. I'm walking into the kitchen, see.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm playing the wrong one.
Hey, Slam tell it again. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm walking into the kitchen, see.
Tell me more.
A little breeze is easing through the curtains. I open up the refrigerator door. It's like January.
Oh.
And I look way in the back behind the mayonnaise.
Uh-huh.
I spy me an icy bottle of
Liquid.
I read. It's cold to the touch.
Is it?
Almost frozen. And I pops the top. With that ice cold
Liquid.
hits the back of my throat.
Ew.
Tide.
Liquid. Liquid. Liquidy liquid. Liquid.
Now that's the real thing.
Brad Holman gets it.
It's not Pepsi.
I like how everybody's guessing like dish soap, Dawn, Tide, Arm & Hammer.
It is Coke.
Love the way that cool Tide feels on the back of my throat.
I like the Clorox liquid. Right?
I didn't know if that was yeah. Anyways,
Did somebody say Clairol again? Oh, that's funny. Okay, here comes your next track.
Half point. Full point. Good.
What's going on? I
Oh my
already
gosh.
answered. Why is it still going like that?
Oh, hey, hi.
We just
What's
we lost
going on? Why is it still making that sound?
What's that?
All I can hear is the Skype sound. Don't you hear it?
No, we don't hear it. Do you want to try to reconnect?
Okay.
All right. Do you want to try to reconnect, or do you want us to call you?
Yeah, call me back, I think.
Okay, we'll call you right back. All right. That did not happen in the original sound check. She left. All right. Well, that was Suzanne Ciani, everybody. Suzanne Ciani.
All right. Nice. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's
Should be right
should we
back.
try to add her back in now? See how this goes. All right. We're calling Suzanne Ciani right now. See if she'll answer.
So nobody guessed.
Oh my gosh.
There
Hey,
she
there you
is.
You didn't hear this, but it had that dun 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 dee, da, da. I can't sing.
Oh, no.
That thing was not going away.
It's like a hold music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello. Who's here?
Well, we're having a little trouble hearing you.
Oh, you're having trouble hearing me now?
Yeah.
Okay, let me go into my Skype preferences.
I think it's your gain is a little low for some reason.
Okay, let me put it up here. Let's see if this helps.
All right,
Does
sounds
this help
good.
at all? Oh, that good, or is that just? I don't know if that's my input or my output. But I've just put it up.
Oh, that's okay. You guys having trouble hearing her as well?
It's a little faint.
Okay, system preference. Oh, not system. Wait a minute.
Oh, we're going to a Mac? Yeah, there's a way to roll your input volume.
Oh, well, okay, I can go like that. Okay.
Go to that input tab.
Yeah, well, I have, let's see. Now I'm in Skype settings, and I have general appearance, audio and video. Okay, audio and video.
There we go.
I have, looks like my mic is well in that thing. Let me see.
Are we sure that it's just not maybe plugged in all the way or something? Just make sure that it's plugged.
3, 1.
Yeah, I can hear it. It's definitely.
1, 2, 3. Do you want me to just take this headphone off and see if it's better?
Sure, let's do that.
It's better? Is this any better?
Oh yeah,
Hello?
we can hear you much better.
That's better?
Yeah, let's go with that.
Okay, I don't have to. You know what? Maybe let me see if I had my. I'm so
Like
used to
your-
using Zoom. I'm so used to using Zoom that
Sure. And we're getting a little feedback too, so you might need to turn down the volume on yours end or have just headphones on, and then use the. You can specify your computer's mic in Skype if you want to do it that way.
let me see. Let me see what my audio is doing in my computer. Sound. Okay, sound. Okay. Internal speakers, that's what I'm doing. And input, I have the input is internal microphone. Let me just see if I plug this in.
Sure.
Maybe it wasn't selected properly.
All right.
Of course, I can't see, but okay, there it is. Okay, now let's see if it comes up. There it is, the Sennheiser. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's better. I can tell already.
Is this better?
Oh yeah,
Is
much
this
better.
better at all?
Oh,
now we're doing professional quality sound.
Oh, so we prefer the headphone,
Yeah,
right?
perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Well, hi,
good.
Suzanne.
So now, how is the level?
It's perfect. You sound great.
It is.
Yeah, 100%.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm a little distracted today because I've been, buried in a project that's been overwhelming. So I just, I don't eat and I don't do anything. And now I'm like, okay, I'm taking a break.
Well, I want to thank you for joining us a little bit early. We're going to do a little introduction for you here in a moment, but I want to tell you we're right at the end of a little segment we do called What's in the Juke, and all of the songs. Mark, why don't you tell her?
All of the songs are your original 80s commercials that I think you had on your YouTube channel. But to make things interesting, we've removed the product names and replaced them with a angry, control panel technician, where he just comes up with a random word, and so everybody online is guessing the product.
And we just finished.
I see. Okay.
We just
It's a
finished doing. Yeah, it's a little bit of a game.
Yeah.
So the chatters are warming up, and they like to play this game with us. And so far we've done it, the Atari video game, Summer, Black and Decker Cutter.
Right.
Clairol Kindness, Coca-Cola Smile, and Columbia Pictures. And so we're about to do the next one. See if anybody can.
Has anybody guessed that stuff? Has anybody guessed
all of them except for Columbia.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I don't know what I look like. Am I okay? Can you see me? Okay.
Yes. We can see you. You look, yep.
Okay.
You're
okay.
Your head's a little chopped off now, but if you want to.
Okay, so go like this.
Yep, perfect. You look great.
There you go.
Okay.
All right, so let's play the next track and see if people can get this one. All right.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
Are we on the air yet?
We are.
We are.
Oh, okay.
This is one of my favorite
Ethan,
ones.
something's wrong with this modem. I'm never gonna connect.
Did you leave the one?
Doodad.
2500. It can do almost everything but talk.
Doodad. Yeah.
That was a giveaway.
Yeah.
At the end.
That is my
Oh, there's-
favorite commercial that you've done. It's so awesome.
You know, the thing is, all this stuff is generational.
Yeah.
So, you know, I meet young people nowadays and they have never heard of, you know, things that we took for granted. You know,
Right.
I'll say something and they'll say, who's that?
Yeah.
And it's like, so I have no expectations about continuity in our culture at all. So,
Yeah. Especially pop culture, right? So, you know, if they don't use the slogan anymore, and there's hardly any commercials for products anymore. I don't see any myself.
Right.
I mean,
it's all just an archaeological dig.
Yeah.
This whole thing. Yeah.
And our generations were conditioned to watch these things over and over again. I just think it's such a different world. But
I love the chat right now. I am the Gleek says, I work for GE and I didn't get this one.
All right, who did get it, by the way?
Well, Billy Seven got GE, but nobody actually got the product.
Well, that's okay. We're just
Okay, let me tell you about this one.
Okay,
this was
good.
called GE Beep.
Yes.
And it won the major awards. I mean, this was a huge success for GE. It was the talking dishwasher. It was the first time a chip was put into an appliance
Okay.
so that it could make a noise.
Sure.
So this GE dishwasher made one beep. And they came to me and they said, we want to do commercial showing the GE dishwasher, and it has all these blinking lights. And they said, I said, no problem. I can recreate the beep. But I don't think you want to hear that for 30 seconds.
No.
You'll go crazy. And so they had to check with their, you know, advertising honesty legal department to see if it was okay to modify the beep, or would that be false advertising? Would people actually expect their dishwasher to make more than one beep?
Sure.
And so they weren't sure about this. And I went ahead and I scored this, and I created this little language, right, with the beep, and it followed. This was all synced to picture.
Yes.
So all that was, every time there was a blinking light, I put a beep in, and then I orchestrated the beeps to have this little design of like it was talking. And they absolutely loved it. And after that, every commercial was based on that. So we had Beep, Cousin of Beep, Son of Beep. You know?
Oh, man.
That is funny. I'm glad you popped in for this part of the show. You could tell us about all of these, and also this particular commercial is the main video that you see when you go to Suzanne's YouTube page.
YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Really?
Yeah, it's the
I've
first.
never gone to my YouTube channel, so I have no idea.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's fabulous. I love it.
I don't even want to know because I'm not responsible for it.
All right, so here comes your next track, ladies and gentlemen.
Presenting the incredible grill griddle range from
Texas. Yeah. We did it. That feels good. Texas.
Grill griddle range. It makes cooking almost as much fun as eating.
Texas.
Oh boy.
Boy, I
What
don't
a
know.
giveaway.
Yeah, the end of these commercials is giving this away. Who
Right.
got it?
So, I am.
Well, maybe people don't know we bring good things to life. Even.
Well, that's
I mean,
what
that
my
was like-
point was earlier. It's like, who knows that phrase anymore? You know,
I am the Gleek against Weber and Hitachi. Mr. I work for GE, but he was the first one to get GE.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Half point for that gentleman. All right, here we go.
Good job.
Oh, my cat is going to kill herself trying to climb me like a tree. All right, so here we go. Ooh.
Oh, it's a typewriter. That's nice. Iron Man.
Oh, I like this one. Ooh.
Mm-hmm. Kind. Yeah. Oh, the typewriter. Look at that. It's doing it again. Oh, that's what she said. Oh, yeah. Oh. Iron Man.
But that's a tough one. I don't think anybody's going to get it.
I actually think we have to give that to Joe Drosen. He said the Lincoln Mercury. No.
I don't know. Lincoln's close enough.
Yeah.
Lincoln,
I mean, like,
yeah.
they got on a Xerox kick early on. They're like, copy machine, Xerox. And I'm like, how, I don't even know where somebody gets top writer to Xerox machine.
That's funny. I mean, I really like that composition, Suzanne.
Thank you. That won a lot of awards, too. I have to just say almost everything I did won an award.
That's great. Awesome. You know, a little pat on the back.
I didn't realize that, but what I'm doing right now, the reason I'm so distracted is that I have a pandemic project.
Oh, cool.
So I've had an archival vault of stuff that's been in there for 40 some years, and I haven't bothered to even look at it. I've never had time. And now with the pandemic, I have no excuses.
Yeah. You know? That's perfect time. So
if you're ever going to have time, it's now. So anyway, I'm going through all this piles of historic stuff, you know, a whole life with layers and layers. And one of the layers was commercials.
Yeah. And
I had this big box of awards, and I didn't even know until like 2 days ago, you know, that all this was, you know, I didn't remember.
Yeah.
So I can tell you that a lot of these won awards.
That's so cool. All right, we only have 2 left, and then we're going to introduce our guest.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
Brighten up. Come where flavors are rainbow.
Yum, yum.
Taste sensation. Color fascination. Yes. Lemon, lime.
Yes.
Orange, strawberry. Variety.
Yum, yum.
Rainbow hues to chase your blues. Brighten up.
Yum, yum.
Bite-sized candies. A rainbow of flavors.
A rainbow of flavors.
Mr. Peabody, number 1 on that one.
You got Skittles?
Skittles, yep.
Yes.
Right. Nice.
Skittles. Do they still make Skittles?
They sure do.
They do?
Yep.
Oh my God. Okay.
I don't eat
survived.
them, but they make them. I used to love them.
I have a 12-year-old that adores them.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't need to advertise anymore, apparently. So
yeah. Nobody does. Nobody spends a dime anymore except for like Viagra and Cialis, you know.
Oh my goodness.
You can watch medical commercials all day long, but no more Saturday morning cartoons, nothing. So.
Gosh, what's this world coming to?
I know. And you'd be unemployed because you wouldn't be able to make any commercials like this anymore.
Well, I don't make them anymore. You know that.
Yeah. No, you make
okay.
You make lovely music and such.
Okay.
And you do interviews with, you know, these kids that love your stuff from when we're, you know.
Fun kids. Did you ever think you'd look like a kid to anybody?
Except me. Yeah.
Everybody looks younger than I am. Everybody. It's
like... you look great. So let's let's do the last one, and then we got to talk about some of these things because this is really cool. Okay, here we go.
The first name in
something liquid. What was that?
Now, the last word.
Something that you drink. Yeah, it tastes good, right? It's tasty. Yeah, you like it. I can hear that. Something that you drink.
The first
something that you drink.
Good enough to be called
something.
So Joe Drosen has been typing since before you even played this Sun-Kissed Orange Juice.
Really?
And he's put it in about 10 to 15 times. It's like just like literally
all right.
Sun-Kissed Orange Juice, Sun-Kissed Orange Juice, Sun-Kissed Orange Juice.
Let's just give him a full point.
Well, that actually got him first place. So good job, Joe Drosen.
That's fantastic. I think we should move on to our interview portion of the show, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's do that. All right.
Welcome to Xenon.
Suzanne Ciani, electronic composer. She captures the indefinable and turns it into music. Her instruments are synthesizers. Her vocabulary, words like reverb, delay, amplitude. She's written whole scores for movies by touching buttons, patching chords. But now a new challenge. A pinball manufacturer has asked her to design special sounds for a new game.
Please welcome to the show, Suzanne Ciani. That's one of her creations right there.
What a great introduction. Thank you.
Well, nobody could do better than Peter Ustinov. Right?
Yeah, well, you guys did all the work. I mean, I just barely got to the, Skype call. So I'm really glad.
Yeah, 5-time Grammy nominee, neoclassical composer, prodigy on the prophet, songsmith of the synth, diva of the diode, Miss Suzanne Ciani. I'm
glad you mentioned the prophet, but my real axe, as you know, is the Buchla.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
I couldn't find anything that would give me that sort of that cadence that I wanted for the Buchla. So.
Yeah.
And the Buchla is not technically a synthesizer, right?
Well, okay. Don Buchla invented the analog modular music instrument, and he did not like the term synthesizer because it connoted bad things.
Okay.
We had a weird history in all of this because synthesizer connoted like synthetic or imitative, or gee, you can make it sound like this or you can make it sound like that. And he was into a whole new realm of electronic languaging for composition, and he didn't use a keyboard, a traditional keyboard, and so the word synthesizer was not cool.
Yeah.
But it was very hard to replace it.
Sure.
Because you have to say a lot of things like electronic music modular, analog instrument.
No, that's. I just thought it was really interesting when I was watching another interview and that came up, and it's like, well, yeah. I mean, it doesn't just make melodic sounds or recreate instruments. It can do so much more than that. I mean, it's really undefinable in that respect. So yeah, I like that he was insistent upon that, although it does end up being called a synthesizer.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you've been doing this.
Kleenex.
Yeah,
Kleenex.
Exactly. Right.
It's a generic term.
Or the English and their Hoovers and such.
Right.
But you've been doing this for some time, since 1969, in fact. Mm-hmm. And you've witnessed the birth of the synthesizer, the home computer, the video game. Really, you've been along for the entire roller coaster ride of the digital age. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey?
Well, it really started for me. I was traditional in the sense that I never went to a specific music school because I didn't want to. My music was very personal to me. But I did go to graduate school in Berkeley in music composition, and in Berkeley was where I met Don Buchla, because that's where he lived, and that's where he continued to live his whole life until he died a few years ago. And that whole time, he devoted himself to designing these instruments. And because it's technology, it changes all the time. When he started, the transistor had just come into being, and that allowed, a certain compactness, because the concept of making music with technology was an old one. It went back to at least 1905, where they used non-electronic parts. But in 1963, when Don Buchla made his first analog modular instrument, it really was a revolutionary time. And later the integrated circuit came along and that shifted things. But the transistor was the first milestone that changed things. And I went to work for him. So there I was, a classically trained musician.
Mm-hmm.
And just, after meeting Don, my whole world changed. There were a lot of reasons for that, but basically I fell in love with this instrument, with the new possibilities of being a composer, but having complete control over the entire thing from beginning to end. I didn't need to, work with the orchestras of the world that didn't want me,
Yeah.
So it gave me a lot of freedom.
Oh, that's cool. A bunch of us are, obviously, we're in this in a hobby where you can see all of our little arcade games and such behind us. Brian, what's behind you? He's muted. This is the first time he's been muted.
There we go. So one of my good friends and a guy who used to work in our shop, so we run a arcade repair shop, creates electronic music also, and he also designed some products. So this is a picture of my son, like, just turning whatever knob and pushing whatever button he can on his setup in the back of the shop. So I normally have a few arcade games back here. I was looking through my pictures and I went, this is the perfect one to put up tonight. I will admit, I know very little about what's on there. But I do know the little red board right there is a product that he did, but that's about it. It's about all I know. But
cool. How old is your son?
In this picture, I think he's about 6. He's about 12 now. And he is much more musical than I am. He plays the drums. He started ukulele. He got a pair of drumsticks from Steve Smith, the drummer, and that was it. He wanted to play drums. So great. He's much more gifted at it than I was. I played oboe for a few years and was terrible.
That's the hardest instrument to play.
Oh, totally. And
I have to tell you
make
a
friends
little
with.
story. I know, because we have lots of time, so I just want to tell you my oboe story.
Oh, yeah.
So I decided I wanted to study oboe, and I found a teacher, I think this was in college, and he said, well, I can't teach you until you make a reed. I said, oh, I need to make a reed. I said, well, how do I know how to make a reed? And he said, well, you actually have to play the oboe in order to know how to make a reed. And I said,
it's a catch-22.
It's a catch-22. And my brain just, completely short-circuited. How did you get through this dilemma? Did you make your own reeds?
No, they actually, so I never made my own reeds, but I had this band director in high school who seemed to think that the oboe could be a marching instrument.
Oh.
Which if you and so the problem with the oboe is you have to squeeze the reeds between your lips. And so to do that and walk was just
murder.
It was painful. I mean, I would carry multiple reeds in my pockets as we went out on marching things, because I'd literally have to switch them out, because I mean, I was terrible. I mean, I pretty much should have just left them out and just pretended like I was doing something. You would have never known. But
this one time at band camp,
you had mentioned that you worked for Don Buchla, and what was your first job for him?
Soldering.
Well, this is good because we're all familiar with the tedious work of soldering and have had our share of problems. So I'd love to hear this story.
Well, my famous soldering story is that day one, I came in and I followed the schematic and I'd put the parts into the board and I would solder. And at the end of the day, they would do kind of a quality testing. And they found a cold soldering joint.
On one of your boards?
Dawn came up. No, it wasn't particularly connected to me, but Dawn said, there's a cold soldering joint and it must be the new girl. You're fired.
Oh my gosh.
I was fired day one.
That's terrible.
For a cold soldering joint that I didn't even think was mine. I mean, how did you there was no proof that it was my cold soldering
Could have been
joint.
sabotaged.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. So it was
I'm going to get the new girl.
So I said, you can't fire me. And I showed up the next day. And the rest is history. I mean, he actually did fire me and I refused to go. And that's how that worked. And maybe it was my bad soldering joint. I really didn't know what I was doing. I mean, I remember one day I was working on a power supply and I got a shock that just threw me almost through the ceiling. And he said, that's a good lesson to you. He said, that's what a power supply does. And I know. So
he wasn't averse to corporal learning policies. That's interesting. I've been zapped by a power supply or two.
Yeah.
It's not pleasant.
What does that feel like?
It's not pleasant.
No.
Sometimes you feel like you can't get rid of it either, like you're stuck to it.
It's probably a little bit like, what is that, the lobotomy or whatever it was that they used to do? Not a lobotomy. What is it? Shock therapy.
Electroshock therapy.
Yeah.
Electroshock therapy.
They actually still do that.
Yeah.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, except they put you under anesthesia when they do it.
Yeah.
Well, I see.
I've never done it myself.
It's kind.
It was kind.
It's the best you can say.
It's true. I have names to mention, and I'm going to just list them. Of course, we've mentioned Don Buchla. Also in this list, Robert Moog, Lily Tomlin, Vangelis, Morton Subotnick, and Rachel Aiello.
Let's take them one at a time.
That's a lot.
Robert Moog.
Where did you get
Moog. Well,
Robert
I have a
Moog.
list. Yeah, I have a list. Unfortunately, since I've been studying for your interview for like a month, I don't know what I was looking at.
So let's say a few words about each
Robert
person.
Moog, okay, so it's easy for me to talk about this stuff because it's my life, right?
Yeah.
That I'm talking about. So Bob Moog was the enemy.
Oh, yeah.
In the beginning. He was the enemy because here I was, a proselytized Buchla player.
And he was first.
Well, what happened was that he and Don simultaneously invented these analog modular instruments.
Oh.
And in those days, there wasn't a lot of communication. There was telephone, but you didn't go online or, there was nothing that really zapped information across the coast. So Bob was on the East Coast. And his instrument had, nobody understood what these were. And so he put a keyboard on it. And that absolutely, so to speak, short-circuited the understanding of what these instruments could do. People thought that they were keyboard instruments and that it was all about the sound. And to Don Buchla, this was like the end of the world. This was such anathema because it was absurd to have one action produce one result. Was fine in the traditional musical world.
Sure.
But in electronics, you had voltage control. And that voltage could be designed to do 100 things in a keystroke, not just one note.
Yeah.
So nobody understood, that we went into the dark ages of analog modular music, and we're just coming out of them now. Thanks to the kids. they went back to, there's been a revolution in modular now with Eurorack, and your son behind you now is an example of somebody playing without the keyboard. So that's what it's about. So anyway, Moog was the enemy. Okay. And I played at the first Moog Fest because I played the Buchla. And then Moog invited me recently to Moog Fest, and I played the Buchla. And I always played the Buchla. And they decided that was cool. Moog has become a very enlightened company. They're no, as have many, companies. Historically, electronic music was very narrow-minded. They didn't want, every instrument designer thought that they should completely control the market, that nobody else could belong. And then this thing called MIDI came in where they were going to talk to each other. Mm-hmm. And that was not an easy thing for companies did not want to acknowledge the existence of other, designers. So anyway, we've come a long way, and now Moog is actually one of my really good buddies.
Oh, that's cool.
I did a thing for them for the subharmonicon. I did a, whatever it's called, music, what is it called? Music in nature or something.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway, so now Moog has been my buddy.
Oh.
So that's my Moog story.
And then Lily Tomlin is the next one on the list.
Lily Tomlin is a woman who
comedian
was
actress.
A huge success in the film business. Mm-hmm. And I was given the opportunity to score a major motion picture in Hollywood called The Incredible Shrinking Woman.
Cool.
And at the time, the reason I got hired, so it's not a mystery that there are not a lot of female film composers. I recently discovered one from the 40s, and I'm trying to get her name was Firestone. She was from the Firestone family, and I've ordered her movie. I haven't seen it yet, but up until I discovered that movie, I was told that I was the first woman to individually score a Hollywood film.
Sure.
And I did that in 1980, thanks to Lily Tomlin and Verna Fields, who was the head of production at Universal. She had edited Jaws, which you might even know that film. Do you know it?
Yeah, that's cool.
Jaws. Okay, so it was a huge hit, and so she was promoted. And here we had two women in power. Mm-hmm. And that's how I got that film. And then there was not another woman hired for 14 years.
Wow.
Verna Fields died. Verna died of cancer. And the film world is an old boy network. That's that. And, you guys are great. Here you are talking to me.
You do not know how hard it is for us to find women that are somehow related to our hobby.
Yeah, right.
And women who tolerate our hobby.
Because they weren't allowed in. They just weren't allowed in. I wanted to do film scores. I had even invented machines for integrating electronics into film scoring. This is another thing I found when I went through my archives. And I just could not get, sometimes they wanted a token woman, an agency, an agent would say, mm-hmm. Hey, we need to have a woman. But in general, it just didn't happen. So anyway, it's happening now. Yeah. So no sadness here. But that was my story about how this woman, Lily Tomlin, gave me the opportunity to score a major feature film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, it's one of the things that we do see more and more of these things going on now. And it's funny that it really wasn't that long ago. I mean, this time you're talking about, it's not, it's still
40
recent
years.
history.
Yeah.
But,
40 years.
But that's still, it's not, people talk about these things like, oh, back in the, whatever, and they just go back, hundreds of years, and that's what things were like. But to think that, it took 14 years to hire a woman to score another motion picture, that's amazing. I mean, it's astounding, and like, it's good to see that's changing.
Yeah, and it's funny. I have extensive film score collection and music collection, but I'm hard pressed to find a woman who's composed several in any movies that are in my collection. I was trying to think of names, and Shirley Walker comes to mind. She scored a bunch of.
She was the one.
Oh.
She was the one. That was 14 years after me.
Well,
yeah.
She was also prolific in animation scoring for things like DC's Batman and Flash and some other DC titles that I have. But she's fantastic, and she did a lot of the music for Flash, the live action Flash in the 90s. But she passed away. Yeah, so we're talking about the same person. So.
Yeah, because when her obituary came out, they said, I'm part of this consortium, this group called Society of Composers, Authors, and Lyricists. So it's the big, group of Hollywood film scorers.
Mm-hmm.
And her obituary came out, and it said that she was the first woman to score a major Hollywood feature. And I wrote to them, I said, wait a minute. I said, I did that in 1980.
Yeah.
And she did it in 1994. And so they printed a correction. But it gave me a heart attack.
Yeah.
Because I had no idea. I knew I tried. It didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
I could outscore. It used to kill me to see, I was scoring. I could score anything. And I'd see these guys, get these jobs. They didn't know what they were doing. And it just like...
Speaking of not knowing what they're doing, I want to bring something up because this is... Not only are you...
excuse me.
Go
and
ahead.
They're a brilliant, wonderful male, my, wonderful film composers that I adore.
Yeah.
Men, nothing...
You don't have anything against them. Yeah. They just got the job and you did it.
Right. Right.
There's the one thing you had against them.
Right.
Well, no, the great ones I don't mind.
Yeah.
But then there was this period in Hollywood where they found out that they could co-market.
Oh.
There was a time in Hollywood when scores were 100% composed.
Sure.
Then they found out that they could plug in contemporary songs or pop songs and get more mileage out of it. And that, that has continued through today.
Sure. Yeah.
When I did Shrinking Woman, every sound you hear, except for one song, which was Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas.
Sure.
That was the only thing I didn't write. But anyway, so then when they started to do that and include extraneous, if you look at the end of a film, you'll see 2 dozen, publishing credits for songs that you weren't even aware were in there.
Right.
That's new.
Yeah.
I mean, new to me because I'm old, but because so that's part of the new approach to sound scoring.
Well, I have 2 questions based on this conversation. The first one is the complexity of scoring is one thing, right? And having a background in traditional music like you do is one thing. But you have, I watched the Omni video and I've seen other videos of you performing on the Buchla. And it's not just about hearing the music in your head. There's actual programming going on as well. So, I mean, can you tell us the difference between like traditional scoring where you sort of hear a melody in your head and a tambour, and then there's the Buchla, because it's different.
Okay, the Buchla for me originally was a performance instrument.
Mm-hmm.
So Don Buchla really infused in me his concept, which by the time I met him in 1969 had evolved. So in the early days of these instruments, it was about making interesting sounds and recording them.
Mm-hmm.
And having be a recording machine. But Don, by the time I met him, and we were always working in quadraphonic and spatial sound, and you couldn't even record that.
Right.
It was a live medium. And he thought of it as an instrument in the tradition of musical instruments and performable. And so I dedicated myself to performing on that instrument for 10 years. So I didn't record very much, as I say, because we couldn't record. There are the couple of early releases on Finders Keepers, but that was my passion, was performing live on this. No, lots of issues with being able to do that. The theaters didn't want you to put up 4 speakers. I had to play in quadraphonic. I couldn't play in stereo. It was a spatial medium.
Mm-hmm.
Then my instrument was stolen. Half of it was stolen. Half of it broke. Ouch. Yeah. Torture. And so it again, my life took a turn at about 1980 or so. Also, because by that time, the big companies were involved. When this stuff started, it was individual designers, Dave Smith, Tom Oberheim, Don Buchla, Bob Moog. They were people. And then the Japanese came in, and the big corporations came in, and they bought everybody. There's a story for everybody. Buchla was bought by CBS. Dave Smith was bought by, I can't remember. Everybody was bought, and then they started these big companies. So that's what happened in the 80s. I forgot what we were talking about. Sorry.
I think we were just talking about the difference between, your live performance and on an instrument like the Buchla and where you get inspiration from traditional composing on a piano or some other type of instrument.
Well, okay, this is a good question, because when I was performing on the Buchla for those 10 years, and I was having my, performance issues or whatever, I was very lonely because nobody understood what it was. I could play the thing live, and people didn't understand that the sound was coming from the machine.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you how frustrating it was. Like, where is the tape recorder? Where is no, it's now, it's happening. Okay, so
right, these were not samples. Yeah. You were creating sounds on the fly. This was a living instrument, like a violin or something else. And that's the hardest thing to get across to people. A synthesizer, modern synthesizers have memory, and you can store, bits and samples and whatever else and play them back during a performance. But when you had the Buchla and you're putting these patch cords in and you're turning knobs and all this stuff, you might program a sine wave at the beginning to help you create a sound. But then at the end of the day, this isn't in the machine. You're producing it on stage.
Right.
Okay.
And that's why I always said that it's not about the sound, but about the way the sound moves.
Mm-hmm.
Because your job as a performer was to keep this thing in life, in motion, in evolution, that was the power of being in the moment with the machine.
Sure.
But by the time I got into a position to record, because the only way in my day you had to have a record deal or you couldn't make a product.
Sure.
Only the record companies could make vinyl. Individuals couldn't. Now you can, but back then you couldn't.
Right.
So no record company wanted the Buchla. Or they didn't want it with my music. They wanted things like The End of the World and electronics or whatever it was. So I decided to self-produce. And so that's why I did commercials, and I made money in commercials. And then in about 1980, I was ready to record my first album, 7 Waves. But now I can't remember what I'm saying again.
Well, that's okay, because we have a thing we'd like to ask you. I think Mark was going to mention.
Okay. So it had all changed. The Buchla was gone, and so I did an orchestral album. All those 7 Waves pieces were written out, and it was a studio album.
Yeah.
It wasn't a live album. Now I'm doing live albums.
And it's like, it's a difference between like an organic growing performance, a living performance, and a premeditated performance. I think maybe that's the best way to put it. Almost improvisational with the Buchla, whereas with your traditional album, it's premeditated and bland. So
it's a studio album. It's a studio album as opposed to a live album. My latest release, which was now that I'm out touring, or I was touring, with the Buchla, I just released, and I'm just doing a quad. Part of the problem is that you have to do it in quad.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're just doing a quad vinyl now. But anyway, so the Antigel performance, it's called Improvisation on 4 Sequences.
Very
at
cool.
Festival Antigel. Yeah.
Very cool. Hey, and you just had an album not long ago come out, but I don't know if it was Buchla or not. I don't think it was. It was not Flowers of Evil. Which one is it? Music for
Denali.
Denali. That's what it was.
That was a film score.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Another one.
But it was, great. Yeah. I couldn't find the film, but it was Buchla and piano.
Okay. Yeah.
Buchla and piano.
I listened to half of it tonight while I was setting up on the show. And all this music can be found at sevwave.com, or where you mentioned the other place that you could buy it?
Well, it's on Bandcamp, I think.
Okay.
I think all the Finders Keepers albums are on Bandcamp.
Sure.
I have no idea. I think you can get them any place. I think you can get
Amazon. Yep.
Yeah,
Best
Amazon, Best Buy, right?
I did buy an album today of yours.
Wow.
It's the 7-inch copy of Liberator. It has your name in the ATARI font with an upside down ATARI logo, and it's the ATARI Liberator song on one side and Summer on the other, which I think is also an ATARI composition.
Yes.
So
that's Finders Keepers. When they came to me, this guy Andy Votel, who runs Finders Keepers, I thought he was crazy. I just like, what? You want to release what? Commercials, like early stuff from my garage. I couldn't. It took years for us to get together because I thought he was crazy. He probably is.
He probably is. Well, then there's crazies like me buying the music. So
right.
One of the main reasons we're having you on is because your ATARI work and Xenon. So there you go. Mark, you were going to say?
Go. can't deny it. I mean, just because my whole life I thought of my commercials as a stepping stone for my albums. But on the other hand, I'm also very clear that when I did all that work, I was working as a pure artist.
Sure.
You know, I was a gun for hire, but I was in my own world.
Right. So let me quickly interject. I just sent a tweet to Patty Jenkins so that you can get hired for Wonder Woman 3. So that follows through. I expect to be invited to the premiere anyway. So let's see how that goes. But back to this show that we're doing. In 1980, you said you were starting your work, but somehow Letterman grabbed you and put you on the air on his morning show. How did that come about? Like, I mean, I understand, a lot of us have seen what happened, but like, what got you there? And then like, what did you want to do? And then what ended up happening, I guess.
Aha, the backstory.
Yeah. Behind the scenes.
Yeah. Well, Letterman was new then. I think this was his show or morning show, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so busy. I had just, I couldn't even think. I had so much going on. And I said, okay, I'll go on that show. But the only reason I'm doing it is that I want to play some of my 7 Waves, my first album. Okay. That's all I cared about was my first album. I said, I'll make a deal with him if he lets me play some of my music, my music from 7 Waves. I'll go on and be the whiz kid, because that's how the media viewed me, as this techno whiz kid who could do this flashy stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was all, because technology was just beginning to buzz.
Yeah.
And so I get on there and I'm waiting to be able to play my 7 Waves, my 7 Waves pieces. And I knew all the guys in the band because I work with them for commercials.
Sure.
And so I had given them all parts to play with me. And I had this thing called an MC4, which was a Roland microcomputer, right? And so I had, pre-recorded some of the sequence there. But, okay, 2 things. One, the memory was volatile. So I come out, I'm on live TV. I finally get a chance to play, cut to my music. I push the go button and nothing happens.
Oh, no.
And what happened was that they unplugged it between the sound check and the performance.
Mm.
So my brain went into overdrive. It just goes, what's happened? And I said, oh my God, they wiped the memory. So I quickly pushed another button. If you watch this, you won't even notice that this memory had to be reinstalled. Like nothing happened, right? I pushed the button and nothing happened. And then I remount the memory and I push the button again and the guys start to play with me and they cut to commercial.
Oh.
So the audience enjoyed it.
So the one thing you wanted to do, you couldn't do, and then you ended up doing all this comedy stuff with him because he thought that voice thing was charming.
Yeah, we were just being silly.
Yeah.
I mean, he is a funny person.
Yeah. You
really is.
You were charged up too. If you watch that video, you were just on fire. You were so excited to be there, in front of cameras probably. Because who knew Letterman at that time? Not many people.
Right.
I mean, he was like this dude from the Midwest that people kind of thought was funny, and they put him on TV.
Right. And he was very, this was a perfect example of the gap that existed, the gap in understanding. People didn't have how could they have a grasp of what this technology was about or how you did it? And so, it was an uncomfortable thing for most people to be around because they didn't get it.
Right. Well, nobody had seen live voice modulation like that before. I mean, you were doing some pretty fun tricks on stage.
Yes.
That were new. and we take for granted now because you can do it with a Darth Vader mask from Target. You know.
Oh.
You put it on and it changes your voice.
Yeah.
But you know.
Well, that thing on the that rack of instruments that I had on the side there beside the Prophet 5 was called the voice box, and it had all the rack mount modules that I needed to very quickly, you know, shift the way my voice was used to control things. So I had a vocoder, I had a lot of things.
Was that same technology used on Xenon when you changed your voice in that?
Yes, that was the voice box.
Okay.
Which was an invention. The voice box was not it was a rack of instruments lying flat, which is already, I mean, if you guys work in a studio, you know that most of the rack mount stuff is vertical.
Yep.
And it's really so nice to have it lying down.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I had it lying down beside me so that I could very quickly, you know, reach the knobs. And it wasn't, you know, traditionally that was the domain of the engineer. So it was part of the, you know, the rack mount stuff in a studio. Whereas for me, it was part of, you know, my domain, not the engineer. I wanted to be able to control these effects and usages. And so I had that, you know, all to myself.
So that instrument that you were using probably did this.
Welcome to Xenon. Welcome to Xenon. Welcome to Xenon. Welcome to Xenon.
Right. So there's a vocoder and a harmonizer, right?
Yeah.
The Eventide harmonizer, it was, you know that
I do
module,
not.
the Eventide. Oh my God. Okay, Richard Factor lived in New York. He was a buddy. He was the Eventide. Do you know Eventide?
I don't.
Okay. Well, they're a company that's still very big.
Okay.
And Richard was there, and they made the first harmonizer.
Okay.
Which allowed you to shift the pitch of whatever you were doing. So it was kind of like a live sample, and then a dial that could change.
Guitar pedal guys, Eventide, I think, right?
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Yes.
Yes. Now they think they're guitar pedals.
Yeah. Right.
I
just put it on the floor.
All the time. I fight with them all the time because look, I have them modified. So I have two H9s. Guitar pedals are high impedance. Synthesizers are low impedance. They, you know, I've been fighting with them to get a low impedance input, but they're selling all this stuff to guitar.
So those two devices, if I recall, allow you to change the voltage for spatial sound and for changing like vocal octaves and things like that?
The two H9s?
Yeah. What do they do exactly?
Okay. The H9s are Bluetoothed to my iPad.
That's right.
Right. And so in a performance, I can very quickly... I mean, this is a luxury because in the old days, all we had was a voltage control reverb, a spring reverb.
Mm.
You know, a spring. It was like a spring in a box. And you could control, you know, whether it was a long decay.
Now it's a knob in
short
software for me. You know.
Hmm?
Now I can do it in software and add reverb.
Yes, but that's not live performance.
No.
The distinction that's why the kids are creating this revolution, because people got tired of menus and mousing.
Yeah.
And hiding in your studio. If you want to be out in action, touching, turning, sliding, moving, patching, you know, in the moment, making this, that's analog. It's not digital. But there are some wonderful interfaces like this thing. So I'm totally I'm trying to see if the Bluetooth will work. I can show you this. But anyway, with this Bluetooth interface, I can do things in performance. Connection unsuccessful. Okay, so
it's on the bench.
Okay,
you're working on it.
Yeah, go ahead. You talk.
I'm trying to remember the name of this.
Wait.
Go ahead.
So I have this is a quick question you can answer while you're doing that. If you had to pick a different axe, would you be a bass guitar or would you be a lead guitar?
I would just become a tennis player.
Oh.
I
was trying to think of a philosophical question. And I'm like, limelight or background? And so the tennis player is pretty awesome.
A few years back, I saw a kid named Robert DeLong play at Red Rocks. He opened for Tears for Fears, a favorite 80s band of mine. And this kid had a stage full of instruments that he had invented, including he had taken a Wii controller, one of those Nintendo Wii controllers, and he had his own pad and this Wii controller and some other non-traditional devices that he had hooked up via wireless and other things. But he could play the music. He'd go play the drums. He'd sample that live so that it would repeat back. And then he would go live, play like different instruments using like the Wii controller. He would just wave it around in different ways and hit different buttons, and different things would happen live on stage. So it's kind of a marriage of sampling and live manipulation of electronic music. It was fantastic. And it was...
You know, what you're pointing to is one of the totally beautiful things about technology, and that is how it can be customized.
Yeah.
There is no there. There are no two instruments alike. There are no two, I mean, unless you buy the same instruments, but even a Buchla, I mean, you design, you pick your modules. So it is more of a potential and a language than it is an actual thing.
Mm-hmm.
A known quantity. So that's beautiful what he did. I mean, he was using the power of technology, and it's individualized. Everybody who works in this field wants something special.
Yeah.
That they do. Yeah.
So one of the things that we see with arcades is that as time has gone on, the graphics and the sound output and everything become almost more important than the game. As technology goes on and they can evolve things, they lose some of that. Like Pac-Man now couldn't just be a little 8-bit character running around a screen. It would have to have flashy graphics and backgrounds. Do you notice a similar thing in what you're doing? Do you see an advantage, disadvantage to it? I mean, how do you see that? Do you see a similar type of thing in the music environment? You talked about this guy using the technology, but is there a downside as well?
Well, let me ask you this, because I don't get involved in games that much, but it does seem to me that it is, in my language, a performance tool in a way.
In some ways.
Because, they're live interacting. Talk about kitties. This one is just coming in. Hello, mouse. Hello, mouse. Do you want to come and meet some people? Come here. This is the fattest kitty. She's so fat that
Suzanne Ciani's cat.
Oh
my goodness.
Oh yes.
Can you see mouse? I've never, gone out to get a kitty. They all just come.
Sure.
Everybody has kitties like that, right?
Oh, I have a couple.
Just show up.
Yeah.
You don't go to a store and get a kitty.
Volunteer pets, I call them.
Yep.
Yeah.
My first cat was that. Her name was Ange. She showed up one day, didn't leave.
Oh, that's what they do. They don't go.
Cats kind of pick their owners, so.
Yeah.
They're very picky, and they're wonderful animals. So,
Well, this one was totally feral.
Oh yeah.
I mean, for years I would feed it and it would go.
now look.
And then Rachel, my assistant,
Yep.
humanized this pet.
Oh.
And now all it wants is to be,
Oh yeah. Anytime there's a Zoom meeting, there's like 3 people in the room that have cats that come for work. If you're being a call and almost like it's like 1 in 5 people have a cat that shows up or starts meowing. Well, they want attention.
So here's my interface with the
That's cool.
The H9, and it is cool. So you can I have presets that I've designed for my show, and I can't really play anything for you now because let me see if anything's playing. Because I'm in the middle. Because it's pandemic.
I have a question about that Buchla though. That's a 200E, is that right?
Yes, it is.
Now, is this the last Buchla that you got from Dawn?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the one that you traded for your Audi.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
You know that story.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved my Audi. It was such a beautiful machine, and I traded with Don because he needed a car, and I got to tell you that within 6 months, that car was trashed.
Oh,
Don't
no.
see how. Where did you put like a tarp over it? Like what would cause it to?
It had things growing in it.
Ah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Come on,
Yeah.
Don. It's an Audi.
You go figure. I remember when I worked for Don in the big, in his first place. It was in Oakland, down by the waterfront, where the container ships just started to come in.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought it was a guy thing, because if you went into the kitchen, there were things like instruments every place, but the sink always had things growing in it.
Oh my God.
It's like a little petri dish.
Oh man. Hey, I have a quick. I have 2 quick questions. The Tonto. Did you ever get to interact with it? This is the one that was in the Phantom of the Paradise in the 70s.
And Stevie Wonder used for a couple of his albums.
Right.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, I think this machine is now in Canada.
I think so. Yes.
So I was up in Canada doing a concert, whatever, a year ago or less than a year ago, and they have a museum there. And my Buchla was supposed to be in the museum, but that's another story.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah. But the Tonto expanding headband Moog was there, and they have the whole thing set up. It's beautiful. Big. They have a huge room.
It's giant though. The thing is huge. It's like if you compare it to like a cathedral organ. I think that's
It's
probably
like 3 cathedral organs.
Yeah.
It's like a circular setup,
Yeah.
not a complete circle, but more than a semicircle.
Yeah.
And they installed that there. It's quite beautiful.
And Tonto's an acronym. I don't remember what it stands for, but it's not stupid.
The original New Timbral Orchestra.
There you go.
Don't you just say that every day?
You're just
There's
like Google that right out of your head.
There's a gorgeous picture of it in Rolling Stone if you search for it. I mean, it's just beautiful.
Yeah. And it is in Phantom of the Paradise, one of Mark and I's favorite cult films. Mark introduced me to the film, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why I now have a chrome payphone.
You have a chrome mask that you run around at night?
Because of that movie.
You're not doing that?
Yeah. No. I actually had a question that was related to the video game question that Brian brought up. And that is, or not, more of a, like I just looking for your commentary on this really, but, back in the day, people composed little songs for games like Pac-Man and Super Mario Brothers and all these different video games. And then over time, and over time that video games have grown into this massive multi-billion-dollar industry where when you're playing the game, it almost feels like you're playing a movie, and they actually have to hire composers for these movies, like legitimate composers that score the scenes and make it feel like you are in the movie or in the game.
Yes.
And so I think the original idea for that question was that, you worked on Xenon, effectively composing its music. But now, we're looking at a whole different landscape. What do you think about all this?
Well, the materials were very limited. I had a few simple oscillators that I could deal with. There wasn't a lot of processing that could go on. So the elements were small, but the concepts are what really matter. So, when you're integrating, what I found, because this was part of the job, was integrating with the game, with the scoring, with the levels of achievement, with the intensity, with the, whatever. So designing a sound really, or a composition that would be performed by the player. Because, the player is involved, and they don't think of themselves as actually performing the piece, but in fact they are.
Yeah. Well, now that you say that, you're playing Xenon, you launch the ball, you get this big crescendo. The ball goes into the playfield and then bounces around and gets all these, frankly, somewhat erotic noises and dings and whistles and whatever. And then that background music, that dun, 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 it continues to get more and more frantic as you play the game. And the only way to, as the composer, the only way to quiet the orchestra is to make a tube shot.
Right. Try tube shot. Try tube shot.
There you go. Can you do my answering machine message?
Tube shot.
Try Adam's Arcade.
I want to know what were all the rejected audio samples that I want to. Are there any that you wish that made it in, or did you pretty much get everything in there you needed?
Well, there is an odd thing. I don't know if you noticed it, but the thing that says "Welcome to Xenon" when you put the quarter in, I had that sound, right?
Yeah. Okay.
And then the next thing you hear is "Welcome to Xenon."
Yeah, it's a dude.
But that's not mine. I had a "Welcome to Xenon." Let me see. Let me see if this is here. Let's see.
And your "Welcome to Xenon" sample that I have from the game is actually when you hit the saucer for the first time. It says "Welcome to Xenon," and it says Xenon 2, and then try tube shot. In that order, I believe.
Okay. Well, I was doing some archival transfers, and one of them was Xenon.
Oh, I like that.
Okay, here's a Xenon. Hang on.
I think that's in the game.
Okay. It is in the game.
Yeah.
Okay. But then the Welcome to Xenon that I did, I don't think got into the game. I don't know. Does it?
There is a "Welcome to Xenon," but it's when you hit the saucer when you get into the game. It's not when you launch or when you put in the after. It's after. So
I'm betting the sample rate for the ones on your computer are higher than the ones that are in the pinball machine.
Yeah.
Just by a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Here's the funny story.
We need your camera up on your face a little bit more. Can you put that up? There we go.
Oh, there.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're watching your.
So I had this instrument called a synclavier. Do you know about that?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
New England Digital.
Expensive.
By the time I was, $200,000.
Yeah.
So I used that instrument because it was a brilliant, computer to replicate the limitations of this little chip. Was it Motorola? I think it was a Motorola chip. And so I used this big, $200,000 machine to replicate a $5 chip. And that's how I was able to do the design, because I could replicate that chip.
So you worked within the constraints that you were given.
Yes, exactly.
So you weren't really like just trial and error. It was a bit of planning.
Yes, definitely.
That's
definitely.
pretty cool.
And then, there was another stage because I had to go and work with their guy to actually burn the chip.
Speaking of working with their guys, one of our listeners asked a question. In the Omni video, it shows you at Bally in Chicago hanging out with the gang. Right. And one of the guy that designed the artwork, I believe his name is Paul Ferris. And did you get to meet him?
Yes.
Well, that's cool. So you got to collaborate on the theme and sort of, because in this respect, it is like composition, because not for a film, because there's a theme there, and you want to convey that feeling in sound.
I actually came in where they were just in the blueprint stage. So,
that's cool.
Nothing had been, it was an evolutionary process. It was very interesting because I was new to the pinball world.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really know, but I was excited. I loved anything that seemed to be bleeding edge.
Yeah.
Anything that seemed like it was on that edge, I wanted to do. And when I first saw the artwork, I mean, this is no secret, I was a little horrified because, to me, where I was then, the notion of art was something in a museum, or what my sister, the artist, did. And when I go there and I see this big rear end of this woman, I'm thinking, oh my God.
Yeah. A lot of pinball art was like that too.
Yeah.
In that era.
And in hindsight, I mean, I have to say that, part of my impulse in technology, because I was a woman and I had my own take on the whole thing, and guys thought it was a very masculine thing, technology. And my take on it was, no, it's not. It's sensual.
Yeah.
It's feminine. So my, 7 Waves album was all electronic, but it was sensual. To me, it allowed sensuality. So I guess that sensual, take on technology definitely imbued the Xenon. And, for me, it was an intellectual project.
Sure.
But in the end, what the kids responded to was the sensuality.
Yeah, and it's the whole package it's a piece of that. Each pinball machine has its own artistic touch, and I think without the noises and sounds and sound design that you provided for Xenon, it would be severely lacking. And 2 things I'd like to mention too. First time a woman's voice had been recorded on a chip. So that's pioneering in and of itself. And I don't remember what the other thing was, but that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, there had only been I can't remember the first pinball game that had a sound. I don't think it was like a gorilla.
Was it Black Knight or something?
Gorgar, maybe?
Gorgon. There you go. That sounds right.
Was it Gorgon?
Gorgar.
It said Gorgar. It was some very low sound.
Yeah, it was very low res. I think that might be it.
Yeah.
But you'd been used to making some sound effects before for, a guy by the name of Meco.
Oh, right.
And here, if you
Good old Meco Star Wars.
if you hold this up, you can see all the sound.
Yeah,
Sound effects
I
are by
got two
Suzanne.
credits. I got 2 credits on that. That's because they wouldn't pay me what I wanted.
It's pretty cool.
I knew that I was the only one who could do that in New York. And they were trying to get this done overnight. That came out like the day Star Wars came out. They were so fast.
Star Wars
they did that overnight.
and Other Galactic Funk by Meco. This is a fantastic album.
Yeah.
I think many a kid had it.
Yeah,
and it charted.
Just as soon as you walked into the disco that night, I was like, wow, that was pretty quick.
Yeah. I remember it well. I do 5 years old.
You were 5 years old. That's so cute. Oh my God. Like the little boy behind.
5-year-old
Brian.
I wouldn't have been allowed into a disco.
You were that age.
My parents would have never let me in. Here's another one I wanted to share with the team and the audience. After 7 Waves, you did an album called Velocity of Love. And I've had this for a number of years. This is 87.
That's the original.
Yeah. And you
the
mentioned
later releases changed the cover.
Yeah, now it's got this as the cover, if I can get that up there, which is also a beautiful shot. But you told me something about this pre-show that I didn't know. Vangelis may have been involved with this in some way.
He plays on 3 tracks.
That's incredible. Do you know which tracks?
Yes, he plays on... the 2 he does not play on are the 8th Wave and the Velocity of Love.
Those are entirely you.
Those are entirely me. And then he played on, let's see, Malabuzios, Lay Down Beside Me, and History of My Heart.
Okay. Yeah, this is a fantastic album. I've listened to it. I must have listened to it 10 times this week.
Cool.
It's really relaxing, and when I go to bed at night, I turn this on, and it's just like lights out after 30 minutes. It's fantastic.
Oh, that's great. And do you use a turntable in your bedroom? How do you do this?
No, I have a digital copy too.
Okay, digital copy. Okay.
So I do play this on my record player. It's in fantastic shape. There isn't a flaw on it.
Ooh. I don't even have one of those. So
yeah, I have a really nice turntable.
Take good care of that. Take good care of that one.
But yeah, if I had to grade this, it's very good. Plus. It's so good. Yeah. An original RCA
that
sleeve.
was a huge hit, at the time. But I don't know if you want to. I don't know. It was a wonderful experience to make the album, and then it came out on RCA, and 1 week after it came out, RCA was sold.
Oh.
Yeah.
Now,
to BMG.
Elvis had a bunch of records on RCA at one point.
Yeah.
But he was in a different category. Speaking of categories,
company, it's all the same, in a way. I mean, dealing with the record company is the same for everybody. Sure. The reason Vangelis didn't get a credit on that was that he was having a fight with Polygram, his record company,
and they wouldn't allow him to.
He was trying to get out of a deal, and they were trying to say that, he's violating his record contract because he's recording for other people. He couldn't be seen as, doing anything that might upset Polygram.
And you guys are contemporary composers in the same genre. I have several of his albums. Of course, I know his work. I was introduced to his work from Blade Runner.
Yes.
Which was not released.
Amazing.
Yeah, and it wasn't released until the 90s. That movie came out in 82 or 81, 82. And for some reason there was a dispute, or it just never got released, and so they did they had an orchestral version of it produced by like the Philadelphia Philharmonic Orchestra or something, and that was the best you could do for many, many years until I think it was 1992 or maybe a little later even, but he finally released the penultimate version of that soundtrack, and it's wonderful. Can't say enough about that.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, he is mesmerizing.
Yeah, but you're in the same category.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Your music is, I don't think any less innovative or exciting to listen to. I mean, it's really good stuff. I think, if you haven't had a chance, you should go check out her catalog, everybody, because this is, I mean, we're talking about somebody who's pioneered a specific sound and a genre of music that didn't even have didn't even have a Grammy Award category until after 87. This is 87. And you've been nominated 5 times for other albums since. This one probably should have been nominated as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah. They didn't have the category.
And I love the texture of the time period also, because you really feel you feel that the time period that of the 80s, the late 80s, when you listen to this, even though it's new wave or new age, or not new wave, but new age, or neoclassical, or whatever you want to classify it as. But what would you classify it as?
Well, I never did classify it. I mean, it was instrumental.
Sure.
And there wasn't a lot of instrumental music that was, out then, except in the classical, domain. Classical music was more or less, instrumental. And so until New Age came along, they really didn't have a place to put it.
Sure.
In the record store. So it I was placed on a classical label. I licensed that to RCA Classical.
Okay.
But it was a big step for them because it wasn't anything traditionally classical.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, there had been electronic classical, like Tomita, right? In Japan. Do you know about him?
I don't.
Tomita?
Mark's nodding his head, but I don't.
I do. I mean, I hear Gary Newman mention Tomita. Hey, Gary Newman, friend or foe?
Oh, friend.
Okay, good.
How about John Carpenter? Did you ever work with John Carpenter?
No, but he's kind of local here, because he did a film right up the street, right in Inverness. I think was it what did he do in this area? He did a film.
Escape from L.A.
Or Point Reyes Station.
Oh, I don't know.
Point Reyes. He's a local guy. Okay.
But John Carpenter, he had been known for scoring his own movies since his earliest work. And he used a synthesizer, but more of his music was more texture than melodic, to give you a feeling of urgency or fear.
Well, you know what? Here's what I've discovered over the years, because as a composer, I've been mostly, deeply involved in the counterpoint and intricacy of music and the construction and architecture. When you're working with film, less is more.
Sure. And that's not just in music. That's like, don't show the shark.
Yeah. Right.
Less is more.
But it took me so long to learn that.
Mm-hmm.
I did a commercial once. I was working with John Barry. Do you know John Barry? Out of Africa, film composer.
James Bond?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So John Barry, we were working together, and I came in with my score. We were doing Lincoln Mercury, and I had, all these notes. And John's score for his commercial had like 8, big footballs,
Yeah.
Just these big footballs. And it was brilliant.
Whole notes.
Whole notes,
Yeah.
right?
Nice.
And,
John Barry's done a lot of work. He's won an Academy Award or two, hasn't he?
He's exceptional. He really is one of the gifted film scorers. I mean, he's gone now, but
Yeah.
he was.
I have every one of his James Bond soundtracks.
Oh, okay.
Somebody had asked earlier, who is your favorite film score?
Oh, good question.
My favorite film score probably is, now why is my brain just going numb? Worked with Alfred Hitchcock. Come on,
Bernstein?
help me here.
Elmer? No, that's a new guy.
No.
North by Northwest.
Alexa, who scored Alfred Hitchcock's movies?
It's not Bernard Herrmann.
Bernard
Yes,
Herrmann.
Bernard
Bernard
Herrmann.
Herrmann. Yep.
Bernard
Thank you,
Herrmann.
Alexa.
That's it.
Bernard Herrmann.
Bernard.
Okay, so
Bernard
you know,
Herrmann.
and they had a falling out. So they had. It was an interesting relationship. But anyway, yeah, Bernard Herrmann was, his use of strings and the way he, the emotion. But I guess,
yeah.
My appreciation tends towards the older films.
Yeah.
When film scoring was film scoring.
North by Northwest is one of those film scores that didn't get a release, an actual release by Bernard Herrmann until much, much later when they had dug out the archives. Up until then, you could buy another orchestration of it, which was quite good, actually, and it was in stereo. But Bernard Herrmann's original score was, of course, mono, because that's what they had in 59 or whenever that was made.
That's what they had in 80.
Oh, my.
When I did the score for Shrinking Woman, I was shocked.
Huh.
It was mono.
There was no stereo mix.
I was working at Quad. There was not even a stereo. We did a stereo mix for an album release, but the release never happened. Why it didn't happen, I don't remember. Oh, I know why. I have all these sunspots on my. I could talk forever about the things that didn't happen. But when I did the score for that, there was a strike in Hollywood.
Oh.
So there was a Screen Actors Guild, Musicians Guild. There was a big strike, and we couldn't even record here. I had to go to Italy to record. And there was never a contract because it was illegal to have done the score. So all these years later, there's still no contract. But that's why, we couldn't do anything with the music.
Could you
because it would have violated the union.
Could you maybe do something with one of the independents like La La Land or Film Score Monthly now to release Incredible Shrinking Woman?
Well, I know that Andy, Finders Keepers, he wants to do that. But the whole idea, I think, of interfacing with Universal is a little daunting.
Sure.
Yeah.
I can tell. I do a lot of stuff with Universal. I own a DeLorean time machine. And their licensing department completely changes through attrition every 3 years. So if you don't like whoever you talk to, just wait 3 years, and I swear to God, totally new people. And no one remembers what they told you last time. So they're like, "Oh, that sounds great."
Give us a name. We'll make a phone call, and it'll be done.
There you go.
Yes. Okay.
I think that's actually
licensing,
maybe doable.
Thank you very much. What do they have to lose?
Right. Well, Lily Tomlin's kind of hot right now with some Netflix show that she's doing with Fonda, right?
Yeah.
So
let's
spin it up.
They did a DVD release of The Incredible Shrinking Woman a couple of years ago. Somebody called me and said, can we put that?
Yeah.
But I don't know. Yeah. Okay, cool. Okay, that's up to you.
Well,
okay, I'll work on it. Patty Jenkins thing, and now Universal Licensing.
There you go.
Right, you're going to be my agent for that.
So how many albums do you know how many albums you have? Because when I look at your discography, I can't even count them all. They're not all in the same place, first of all. But
yeah, I can't either because of my, there are 5 albums that I don't own. that are on Sony.
Okay.
I lost them.
I saw you do a award speech where you said your 5 children that were kidnapped.
There you go. Sony are a bunch of beeps, bleep, bleep, bleeps. They've flagged this show so many times for when we play stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And they're the worst.
Sony?
Yeah.
Sony likes this show?
No, but they have algorithms that run on YouTube that scrape for their music. And so if they match up, they can flag your channel. And so Universal, Sony, EMI, all the big ones. They're really great to us.
We make the money.
Not anymore though. This year we've stuck it to the man.
Oh.
You know it's so weird. Okay, today I had no internet up until this conversation, right?
Oh, thank goodness.
My internet was down. And a lot of my apps wouldn't work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they require this, spy connection.
Sure.
They want to monitor you live on the internet. So if you don't, I couldn't open Word. I couldn't open Adobe.
You can't talk to Alexa.
Oh yeah, all of the apps that they have to check authentication to make sure you're not trying to rip them off.
Yeah, that's
You're right.
That's such BS. Remember when you used to be able to install
shocking.
Adobe?
Yeah. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't even open a Word document.
Gosh.
Yeah, because it's all O365.
We did have another question from the chat. Somebody asked if you ever done a binaural recording or album.
Absolutely. And there's a thing up online right now that was done at Envelop, ENVELOP, and it is a live recording with with the Oculus. You can even look at it with an Oculus.
Oh, interesting.
I just did it about a couple of months ago or so in San Francisco, and it's a live performance on the Buchla. And they also did a binaural release, and my album that I released, which is called Improvisations on 4 Sequences. If you go, when we sold it, we gave everybody multiple downloads. So there's 88.2, there's 44.1, there's ambisonic, there's discrete quad, every possibility is when you buy it, even on Bandcamp, you go to a URL and you get all the downloads.
That's cool. I love Bandcamp. It's really great for independent artists, especially.
I'd never heard of them until the guy next door moved in. I mean, he works for Bandcamp.
Oh, that's cool.
It's very cool.
One of the local artists here in Minneapolis, his name is Chan Poling. He's lead singer and one of the founders of the band The Suburbs, and they do a holiday concert, and he's got a 3-piece with a guy from Semisonic and another guy from Trip Shakespeare, and they do like jazzy standard versions of popular tunes from the 80s, 90s, and whenever, and they're just fantastic. But they have they're an independent, musical group, and they release their stuff on Bandcamp, and it's great. So
yeah,
I love it.
Yes, they're great. And try to release quadraphonic. It is not easy because all the streaming systems they just don't do it yet. It's not a quality oriented system that we're in right now.
When I was it's not. It's you have an Alexa speaker to listen to music to. That's not the way to listen to music, in my opinion. When I was a kid, I went to a rummage sale or a garage sale someplace, and I bought an old 70s receiver, and it had quadraphonic sound. And I thought, what is this? I had no idea what it was. But then I had to hook up 4 speakers, and it was like surround sound, but it wasn't. It was. So I wish I had some of your music to demo on it when I was a kid, because it would have been, properly, you would have heard it spatially correct.
Do you still have it?
No, unfortunately, I do not.
Because my new release, what I'm doing now is I'm releasing a quad LP with that technology.
That'd be
So
fun.
the technology from the 70s.
Yeah.
SQQS. And so now it's compatible with a lot of home theater systems.
Yeah, I could do it on my
Any-
home
any-
theater. I could turn it to
Okay.
quad.
Yeah, you could.
So.
Yeah. We're just trying to get it pressed in pandemic times, you know.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Our back room, the guy who built our house, the back room, the sunroom has 4 speakers in the corners. And it's like, and like, it's not great for surround sound because you don't put a couch in the right place or whatever. And so
Right.
you'll be watching a movie and like random sounds will come from a spot. You're like, it's almost a little disorienting. But if you, I was just thinking about it, if you put a quadraphonic album on in that room and stood in the middle or sat in the middle, it would be fascinating because they're all on this like angled coming down to you speaker system.
Well, and the guy was he was a bigwig for Rapala, a lure company, and that house was built in '71. So Brian, that probably makes sense. He probably did it on purpose.
That could have been, yeah.
So I don't know.
Perfect. Yeah, it was, you know, I in those days I was quad, right? Everything I did was in quad. I was so excited when they were going to do quad and it failed. Why did it fail? It failed because there was no content.
Right.
I had content. I had the Buchla, but there was no other content. Buchla was quad.
Yep.
But other than that, it was all like, well, let's replicate the concert hall. You know, we'll do the front speakers and the back of the room. And everybody said, who needs that?
Right. And now everybody wants surround sound, but it's not the same. So.
No, because now, but we're you know, I just participated in this quad album because they're trying to create and generate content.
Yeah.
You know, for quad music, so that the artist actually, you know, it's one thing to do your spatial processing and post-production.
Yeah.
You know, like you do with Atmos or
Right.
whatever. But it's another thing to actually conceive of the music in the spatial context. And that's what they're trying to, you know, encourage now is quad consciousness.
That's
so that people can actually make quad music.
Now we need a
and not-
quad version of the soundtrack for Xenon.
I'll leave that up to your generation. You know, I'll leave my archives.
I'll
You
put a
can go in
subwoofer
there
in that
and find all the sounds.
Chatters, I want to offer you one more chance to ask any questions if you have any. Mark and Brian, do you have anything else that you're after here?
Jean-Michel Jarre, friend or foe?
Friend, very
All right.
much so. He's become a good friend.
I do want to ask you briefly about Morton Subotnick. Because he was
Foe and friend.
Foe and friend, okay.
Yeah.
Now, I bought his album digitally because you mentioned it in an interview. And I had no idea what I was in for because there's no melody in it at all. It's actually kind of scary to listen to. It's like listening to a computer talk to you the whole time. But it's groundbreaking because he's literally creating sounds and textures that have never been recorded before. And so did that album, it was Silver Apples of the Moon, is that right?
I love Mort. I mean, I think he's amazing, and he is still in his 80s running around performing live. When I was young, all I can say is that Mort got there first.
Okay.
So he met Buchla in the early 60s.
Sure.
And he influenced Buchla, and his concept was to make a box that would make interesting sounds and then could be recorded. By the time I met Buchla, Buchla had advanced his ideas to involve live performance. Now, Mort never adopted that viewpoint. he never thought of it as a performance instrument, the Buchla. We had totally different takes on it. So what can I say? I mean, he does do performances, but they're not in the moment. I mean, there's a lot of pre-production sampling, whatever.
Sure.
I mean, I think he's brilliant, but we're very different.
Different performance styles, yeah.
We have different takes on the same instrument.
Yeah.
I was doing an interview with him in Berlin. That's how I found out, because we were sitting in this room, being interviewed, and the Buchla comes up and somebody says something about live performance of the Buchla, which I was doing in Berlin. And he said, "Oh, the Buchla was never meant for live performance."
And that's the only thing you use it for. That is crazy.
And I my jaw's dropping. I'm saying, wait a minute. I've been doing this for 45 years and carrying the torch for Buchla. And so
that is funny and not funny.
It's telling. Let's just say it's telling.
That's an eloquent way to put it.
Things, yeah. So we're parallel universes. We don't overlap. And he is a very important, person in the history of all of this.
All right, I have 4 things that I'd like to play that I'm pretty sure we won't get flagged for because they're commercial related, and they're on your album Lixiviation, which I think is a word for percolate.
You decide.
But I wanted to ask you particularly about a couple of ATARI things you did, and this is one of them.
ATARI corporate tag.
Now, can you give us a little background why that was created?
Well, I did a lot of stuff for ATARI. I was the go-to music house in New York for any kind of high-tech sound. So all the high-tech talking dishwashers or ATARI, would come to it. I'm actually not in love with that logo because I think it's a little too complex. But I did do, logo work was one of my favorite things to do.
Well, that just sounds like something they would use in front of every single one of their internal videos.
Maybe that was, and I can't remember how it was used because it's long.
Yeah.
A lot of, one of my logos was 1/3 of a second. I mean, usually they were no longer than 3 seconds.
Yeah.
A logo, unless it was Columbia Pictures, that was 15 seconds.
Sure.
And the shorter version.
Yeah. And here's another ATARI one.
ATARI video games.
It's a little quicker.
That's cool.
Yeah, it is really
That's cool, isn't it? Isn't that cool?
Yeah, I love it.
That is cool.
Yeah. And I'm a huge ATARI nerd. We had Nolan Bushnell on this show for one of our season finales. And we had, I have ATARI license plates on my car. I'm just a total nerd when this comes in.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Here's another one.
3, 2, 1. You are hurled into hyperspace. Your mission, save the human race. The ATARI force, your only friends. Defend your life till the battle ends. You're the Liberator.
I like how the ATARI force is your only friends.
That's right.
Just gonna
Loser.
Be isolated. You're in isolation.
Very telling
but the
commercial.
That's a definite harmonized, sound. Because that's my voice.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
it is my voice. Yeah, and I know we're running out of time and stuff, but yeah, I did this. I had an alter ego called Steve. That I
want to hear Steve talk.
I'll just have Steve do it.
Yeah. Well, I have recordings of Steve. The thing is, it never seemed, what's the word, politically correct or to release him. You know, he's still in the closet.
Poor guy. Poor guy. Oh.
Just call him they, and then we're good. So
yeah, right.
Yeah. Okay. There's one more logo I want to play that I think is kind of fun, and this one was we played. You must have done a lot of work for this company, so.
Coca-Cola Pop and Pour.
Now I have a question: Is the fizz in that an analog recording of actual fizz?
I honestly think it's both.
Yep.
I know I did the fizz. The Buchla is brilliant. It has the best white noise of any instrument. That's why I did all those waves, and 7 waves, and that's why all my concerts start with waves.
They're awesome.
And you could do something. You could frequency modulate the bandpass filter has a frequency modulator input, and it created a perfect fizz. Did they do anything after I left the studio? I don't know.
Yeah.
I kind of wonder because, but anyway, I definitely did the fizz that I love for that. And did they do anything? Maybe at the very end, there's a little bit of live fizz.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now, I want everybody to know that those clips all came from this album, which is the Lixiviation one that I mentioned, with the picture of a very young Suzanne Ciani in front of a Buchla, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then some other fun pictures of you on the inside. So.
Oh, yeah. See, that's Andy Votel at Finders Keepers. I thought he was crazy for releasing this, but it's been very cool.
There's actually a track on here from The Velocity of Love 2, but I don't know if it's an alternate take. It's the 8th wave. And it's a shorter version. It's like 3 minutes and 33 seconds or something versus the full version that's on the album. So
okay.
I don't know if he found like a demo.
I don't know, actually.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You should listen to it. It's really great.
I should listen to it. Okay.
It's very short. But I had to have it as soon as I saw all the ATARI logo stuff on there, and having known that you'd worked on Xenon, I was like, I had to get to that. So I have a few more of your albums on the way too. So I hope you get some residuals from this stuff.
Whatever. You don't want to know because I have trouble with the British system of what's it called? It's a little complicated, but it works. Yeah, I definitely do get royalties. Yes.
Good.
But my mechanicals are stuck in England.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wondered
the
why
mechanicals are just one part of it.
Yeah. I wondered why most of your physical albums were for sale out of there, which is difficult for us because we can't purchase them for a reasonable price here.
Well, you know why? Because I would never release those.
Oh.
That's
all Andy's fault.
My releases are, the albums that I kill myself to produce.
Yeah.
And these are, commercials and things that I did in my garage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You would consider these novelty.
Well, there's validity in the sense that they were it was my formative years, and it was the years that, the early stuff that he releases, when you look at the trajectory of a career and you see the beginning and you think it's growing, and it's evolving. And in that concept of evolution, you discredit sometimes the beginning, just because it's not yet evolved. But on the other hand, that's not true.
I think that people do that with film too, in general. They'll say things like, with film, they'll say things like, my favorite Star Wars movie is Empire Strikes Back. Well, Star Wars came first, and it was the groundbreaking film that made you love the whole thing in the first place. So how can you say that this thing is your favorite when this other thing is just as good, or maybe even more groundbreaking in some ways? I don't know. It's one interpretation.
Yes.
But I do have to say that I love the music that you make. I love all of the commercials that you made. I love the fact that I go to my Xenon machine and you worked on that. It's just cool to have that connection. And I really appreciate you coming out to talk to us.
Yes. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for taking me away from my grueling work in my archives.
Now get back to work.
Yeah, now get back to work, because we want all the rest of the commercials, and we want you to release that album for The Incredible Shrinking Woman. We want you to...
Yeah.
All right, let's tell Andy that. He has to do it.
Andy, text me.
Yeah, totally. Totally. I mean, Mark gets stuff done. You got to watch out.
Okay, Mark, you're going to get us the licensing.
Yeah. Strange things happen. Let's see.
I mean, stranger things have happened.
Okay, guys, it's been really, really sweet. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it.
We really appreciate your time. We'd love for you to stick with us after the outro real quick, just so we can have a little personal sign off. And guys, get your tab ready, because this is the important part of the show, right?
Yep.
Say goodbye.
This is okay. All right,
we're good. Let's do it.
All right, I just want to thank everybody for listening on the Double R's. It's been Arcade Radio with Suzanne Ciani tonight. Suzanne Ciani.
Suzanne.
I said Suzanne all night, and then I just butchered it because I was trying to say your last name correct.
It's hard to get it all
correctly.
Check out our website, arcaderadio.com. That's RCATERATIO.com for all of your social media and swag links.
Call and leave comments at 612-548-GAME. That's 4263.
All right. Are you enjoying the show? Because you could pick up some Arcade Radio swag over at Teespring, or you could follow us on Patreon and throw $1 or $2 our way to help us out.
Hey, subscribe to our YouTube channel that you happen to be listening to right now and click that notification bell, and you will know when we're streaming live or have accidentally hit the stream live button.
If you like what you're hearing, consider dropping a 5-star review on Anchor, iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you consume our podcasts.
That's going to be it for tonight's show. From Arcade Radio, we hope you had a blast, and we'll see you on the next episode in 2 weeks. This is the part where we dance.
It's a pandemic party. I think it's over. Oh.